No, although I have heard from some other parents in Westport they're stealing signals. I saw Connor Stallions on the opposing sideline, so I don't know. We've got some questions. All right, with that,
congratulations, girls.
We welcome you back to another hour live above the Heineken River deck at Pier 17. Brewski's in for RC, and we are rolling. Can anyone make sense of the AFC North? Let's go through the day yesterday. Rex, what do we say about the Browns' monster comeback against the Ravens?
Unbelievable. And you know what? Deshaun Watson beat Lamar Jackson again. Can we say that? They actually can say that.
And Myles Garrett, a huge part of it with that defense.
Myles Garrett could be an MVP candidate. You want to see a guy that makes a difference for a team right there. One of the best defenses in the league. If this kid plays like Deshaun Watson, they're the teams to beat in that division.
It's a game. Cleveland had lost that game 4 different ways, and then they won. Teddy, are we buying the Steelers after they tumbling their way to another win?
We're trying to figure out how they keep doing it, and how they keep doing it is just they make plays when the game's on the line in the fourth quarter. They're finding a way to even run the football more. I am buying the Pittsburgh Steelers as a good football team. This is a solid football team, but when it comes down to it, you're going to have to put that performance together to beat with some of the best teams, especially in the North. But that coach right there, he'll have them ready.
That ugly team.
You are what your record says you are. They're 6-3. Dan, C.J. Stroud beat the Bengals.
Sometimes the ugly ones have nice personalities, though, Rex. This was an unbelievable on-the-road performance by C.J. Stroud. Goes into Cincinnati, who have been playing as good as basically anybody in the NFL. Throws a late-game interception to let the team back into it, and then says, don't worry, let me go walk the dog, like Marcus Spears says, and leads them on that game-winning drive with completion after completion, and throws everything in that division up for grabs.
And a lot of it gets settled this week. Can we point out that we got the 4 teams in the NFL's best division squaring off this week? Thursday night, Bengals at Baltimore. Sunday, Steelers at Browns.
We flex that to Sunday night.
Fascinating mashups. All right, let's get into it here. We talked at great length. Let's start with the Cincinnati-Houston game, which I think shocked a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we spent most of our first hour talking about C.J. Stroud, and he deserved it. Kid's unbelievable. Whether we want to debate if he's really in the MVP conversation or not isn't the story today. The story is he is setting the world on fire. But how about the Bengals?
Yeah.
This was a team that felt like it had finally figured it out. That could wind up being a damaging loss. Does it make you question the Bengals?
It does not. It's a disappointing loss, but it does not because of one reason, Joe Burrow. Those 2 interceptions that Joe Burrow throws are probably 2 of the more uncharacteristic plays I've seen in his NFL career. This one just misses. Joe Burrow doesn't ever miss. This is a little bit of sail on that seam route. And then the one when he gets outside of the pocket, we never see Joe Burrow make this type of decision. First down, driving to kind of go get this game back in the mix outside the pocket. 2 or 3 guys can intercept that throw. We never see him make that decision, and I don't think we will again. So because of that and those uncharacteristic aspects, I will say this, though. The young defense, specifically the secondary, tackled very poorly. That was a little bit of a narrative in the beginning of the season.
And even coverage, Dan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing. So am I weary on my Bengals now? Yeah, because I thought this was playing the best football in the league at that point. Yes, that secondary, that scheme, because it was very similar to what the 49ers run, okay? And they did a good job against that when they played the Niners. But now there are wide open runners, and C.J. Stroud was picking them apart. The secondary, I'll be watching very closely from here on out.
And how about the Cincinnati being the best team of it all? You woke up yesterday morning feeling that way. Did you go to sleep still feeling that way?
I'm with Dan in terms of this is another team that will be there in the end.
Yes.
Now, but now they're sort of, for me, thinking they were the best team in the league, now to where they have to fight to be the best team in the North.
Yeah.
Because now that I'm starting to see these other teams in the North and what they can do, this division is going to be hard to win.
Thursday night, it feels like another must-win.
They have to win that game. But remember, they lost the 2 division games right at the beginning of the season when Burrow came back with the calf. But everything seemed to be going their way. This is the time of year. And look, you could know this better than anybody. You played in all those championship teams. But right now, we're getting close to Thanksgiving. This is
Which
the
is
time when
why
the
I'm
teams
so
start to play.
surprised.
That's what I mean.
With the Bengals, I mean, it's November. I mean, we're going to be eating turkey in a couple weeks, right? And this is the time you surge, and you don't take a team that I think you see you see yourselves 4 years ago. You see the quarterback, you see the young coach, you know what this team's possible because it was you.
Yeah.
So why don't you beat this team and say, get to the back of the line, fellas, because we still have to win our championship. The Bengals, they just didn't have that mentality. That's very disappointing.
And as bad a game as it was for Cincinnati, if Tyler Boyd catches that ball in the end zone,
Totally.
he wins the game.
Totally good point.
So
Right.
it's like that's how close it was when they clearly weren't at their best game.
For anyone who didn't see it, if he catches that,
They win again.
then the Bengals wind up with a 4-point lead in that final minute instead of a tie game. Doesn't mean that Stroud doesn't get them in the end zone, but it's a much harder task than getting the game-winning field goal.
And I
which
still
is what
think he
they
might
got.
have, the way that he was playing.
right? Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Look, Stroud, again, for those saying, and where's the love for C.J. Stroud? We spent our entire first hour on this game talking about Stroud, and he deserves it. But let's stay in the division. That's the theme here.
Right.
Teddy woke up yesterday thinking Cincinnati was the best team. You woke up yesterday thinking Baltimore was the best team. How do they lose that game?
Because they're not what I thought they were.
What are
and
they?
What I thought, look, statistically, they're number one in the NFL in points given up, on defense.
Right.
Incredible. And you're thinking, man, it's the old Ravens, man. They've had that history for years and years. All right? It ain't the same. And here's why. All right? In the fourth quarter, when Pittsburgh's at their best, teams like that, Baltimore is 24th in the league in points. Not first. Like there's a drastic defense.
On offense or defense?
On defense.
Okay.
And so to me, that's the crazy part of it. I love the fact that I said 3 weeks ago I thought the Browns were the best team in that division. And I based it on if Deshaun Watson starts playing like Deshaun Watson. He had a great game against Tennessee. I thought it was coming. He gets hurt. All right? But they have the best defense in the division. Not Baltimore. They have closers where this team doesn't. I get it. Baltimore leads the league in sacks. Yeah, when are they getting them?
Yeah,
Not when it matters most.
The multiple opportunities the Ravens had to finish the game. I mean, and what Cleveland had to battle back from, even the botched extra point.
Yeah.
I mean, they just kept coming and coming. They played like they knew it was AFC North football. The Ravens didn't.
Cleveland fumbled a punt, even in that game. And so they had all the opportunities to close it out.
I want to ask you something because everyone always says, or I often say, like, it'll catch up to you at some point, right? So when I think about this division and I think of, well, Cincinnati will catch up to you, I don't have a lot of reservation about that when it comes to that football team. When it comes to Baltimore, I sit there and go, it'll catch up to you. You just talked about the defense late in games. In their 3 losses this year, in the fourth quarter of just those 3 losses, they have 12 drives and 10 points. So my question to you is that a real thing? Like, eventually it will catch up to you? We feel that way about the Steelers and their offense. Is that a fair thing to say about Baltimore?
I would say yes. I mean, because if you're talking big picture of the whole thing in terms of what are we talking about here? Winning championships in the end, because now you're getting to the point where everyone in this division is clumped up together now. And what you used to think about was there were 2 teams that got a bye. Now there's only 1. All right. So now it looks like maybe we're not that team that's going to get that bye. So you're going to have to win 4 in a row. So it's like, battle it out in this division, try to get the home game by winning it and go from there. And that's what they're all thinking.
So the Steelers, by the way, get outgained and win again. So they're 6-3 despite being outgained in all 9 of their games. So if I were to make the following statement to you, Rex Ryan, that in a division that has Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow and Deshaun Watson, who are getting paid close to $1 billion, the 2 best players in that division, the 2 most valuable players this season are Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. They're the 2 best players in the division.
Absolutely right, Greeny. I would sit back and say, congratulations, you nailed it, because it's true. And you know what? Those 2 guys right there are as valuable as anybody else. Lamar Jackson, any of these other guys in the National Football League. Look, we talked about Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is an unblockable. If you have one guy on him, he's going to win every time.
Yeah.
Look at the difference he makes for his defense. TJ Watt, really? You talked about it earlier. You really think this team's going to give up over 20-some points? Like, he's that good. And
what about a hot Joe Burrow? All right, Joe Burrow back playing good football.
Well, they all should be.
But
That's my point. Well, I mean,
healthy
at some point, Burrow's going to have to do what Lamar's going to have to do, what Deshaun will have to recapture it. What I'm saying is the best players have been those guys. You got tape on TJ Watt?
Yeah, and this is why Pittsburgh's defense is what it is. They don't catch. And you guys know it, again, better than I think they set edges as a defense. From an offensive perspective, incredibly difficult. Watch Landon Roberts, the linebacker right here. He sees those pullers for their offense. You talk about meeting people at the hole. As an offensive person, I'm like, oh my God, that play is dead. By the way, they don't get a first down there. Now pay attention to TJ Watt here. This is what setting the edge and pursuit looks like. Up top, they're going to run. TJ's from the backside. They're going to set the edge to force the ball to go inside. There's a play by TJ Watt, not because of talent, strictly because of effort. Obviously, he's very talented. Run away. Okay, you're going to see, again, bottom of the screen, they're going to set an edge, force the ball back inside. Who is going to make the play from the backside on 1st and 10? As an offense, I'm sitting there going, this should be a 7, 8, 9-yard run. No, it's another 1 or 2 yard run because they force the ball back inside. That's setting that edge. And then they know that number 90 from the backside is going to come down the line of scrimmage. And we don't get those 7 or 8 yard runs when he does that.
I'll say it again. A lot of this is going to be sorted out this week. But before I move on to other business, right this minute, if you had to bet your house, which of these teams wins the division when it's all said and done?
Cleveland.
Cleveland?
I've said it for the last 3 weeks.
I'm still going Cincinnati.
Even though they're in last.
I'm going in Cincinnati.
2 Cincinnatis at Cleveland, not 1 vote for the Baltimore Ravens. We'll see. Meanwhile, let's hand out some Sunday superlatives. Around the league we go. Teddy, who was the most impressive team to you yesterday?
Now give me those San Francisco 49ers because these are both teams coming off a bye with your best shot in on the road to play one of the hottest teams with the winning streak, 5 in a row, whatever it was, to come in there and say, you're not on our level and just do it by a score is just it's laughable what they did to the Jaguars right there. Kittle, everyone, Debo's back. They're back to playing good football.
34-3 on the road. Rex, what was the biggest disappointment to you?
The Baltimore Ravens. And look, you could have owned that division. You had them on the ropes. It would have been 2 wins over Cleveland. And guess what? You let it go. You had multiple opportunities to close the game out, even got a gift fumbled punt, and you couldn't close it out. So to me, they're clearly the biggest disappointment.
They've had the lead going into the 4th quarter of all 10 of their games this year. Dan, what was your favorite play of the day?
The Lions going for it on 4th and 2 near the end of the game when everyone in the world was saying, kick the field goal, you've already got 3 points on the board. There's so much of this that I love about understanding who you are, what's the strength of your football team, knowing that the process is more important than the result. Fearless, not worrying about what people are going to say about you. You talk about the culture and the identity and whatnot. This play is so emblematic of what this new age Lions is all about.
We'll talk much more about them as we work our way to the NFC and the big contenders, and that includes.
Nếu mà cách tạo hình ngọn lửa như của mình nó khiến cho các bạn cảm thấy khó vẽ và khó cắt thì chúng mình có thể tạo hình ngọn lửa đơn giản thôi, giống như là hình một cái giọt nước thôi. Thì khi mình gắn cái hình đó lên trên phần thân của ngọn nến thì nhìn nó vẫn ra được cái hình của ngọn lửa thôi. Sau khi cắt tạo hình thì mình đã có 2 cái hình ngọn lửa màu cam như thế này. Tiếp theo mình sẽ vẽ ngọn lửa màu đỏ nhé. Ngọn lửa màu đỏ thì mình gấp tờ giấy của mình lại. Sau đó vẽ hình ngọn lửa. Ngọn lửa đó sẽ là ngọn lửa có kích thước nhỏ nhất. Bởi vì nó giống như là cái phần lửa phía trong ấy. Khi mình nhìn cái ánh lửa cháy bập bùng thì mình sẽ thấy là cái phần lửa phía bên ngoài bao giờ nhìn nó cũng màu nó cũng ánh vàng và sáng hơn cái phần ở bên trong. Phần ở bên trong nó sẽ cháy đượm hơn. Mình đã vẽ xong cái phần lửa đỏ. Cuối cùng là cái phần lửa vàng nha. Mình gấp một chút cái mép của tờ giấy lại. Lửa vàng sẽ là lửa to nhất. Cái phần lửa màu vàng này nó sẽ nằm ở ngoài cùng. Đây mình gấp cái tờ giấy màu vàng lại như thế này, sau đó gập đôi lại và tiếp tục dùng kéo để dùng bút chì để vẽ, sau đó dùng kéo để cắt nha. Ngọn lửa màu vàng thì sẽ to hơn ngọn lửa màu cam. Mình có thể đặt cái lửa màu cam lên trên để mình đo, mình vẽ làm sao cho cái ngọn lửa màu vàng nó to hơn nhé. Sau khi vẽ xong thì mình đã có cái hình ngọn lửa vàng như thế này. Và mình sẽ tiếp tục dùng kéo để cắt ra. Mình sẽ cắt theo cái phần nét bút chì mình đã vẽ ban nãy nhé. Sau khi cắt xong các cái ngọn lửa này thì mình sẽ dán chúng lại với nhau. Trước tiên là hai cái ngọn lửa màu vàng, mình dùng súng bắn keo gắn một cái đường keo ở phần chính giữa cái vị trí nếp gấp của ngọn lửa. Sau đó mình đặt cái ngọn lửa còn lại lên trên. Với các ngọn lửa tiếp theo cũng vậy. Bên trong ngọn lửa màu vàng sẽ là ngọn lửa màu cam. Mình dùng súng bắn keo, mình gắn cái hình ngọn lửa của mình vào đây. Bên này cũng vậy. Bên trong của ngọn lửa màu cam sẽ là ngọn lửa màu đỏ nhé. Các bạn có thể làm 4 ngọn lửa để gắn vào 4 góc. Còn ở đây thì mình sẽ làm 2 cái mặt cho ngọn lửa thôi. Cuối cùng là ngọn lửa màu đỏ này. Mình đặt vào bên trong ngọn lửa màu cam như thế này. Vậy là mình đã làm xong một cái ngọn lửa 3D. Tiếp theo mình sẽ dùng cái tờ giấy màu trắng này để mô phỏng cái phần giống như là phần nến nó cháy nó chảy xuống dưới cái phần thân của cái cây nến ấy. Trên cái mảnh giấy màu trắng này nhá, mình sẽ dùng bút chì, mình vẽ hình những cái phần nến nó chảy như thế này, có đường dài có đường ngắn này. Thế sau khi vẽ hình mô phỏng cái phần nến đang chảy thì mình sẽ dùng kéo mình cắt cái tờ giấy màu trắng này ra. Các bạn cũng có thể dùng cái tờ giấy màu vàng nhạt cũng được. Ở đây thì mình sẽ dùng giấy màu trắng để nhìn cho nó nổi bật hơn. Thế sau khi vẽ cái phần nến đang chảy thì mình sẽ dùng kéo để cắt cái phần nến chảy ra như thế này. Sau khi cắt được cái phần nến chảy ra như thế này rồi thì bước cuối cùng là mình sẽ dán cái phần nến chảy này lên trên cái phần thân của ngọn nến nhé. Mình sẽ lấy một cái đầu để mình gắn cái phần nến chảy này lên trên cái phần đầu của ngọn nến này, gắn chạy vòng quanh cái hình phần đầu của ngọn nến. Sau khi gắn xong thì mình có cái phần nến cháy như thế này, và cuối cùng là đặt cái ngọn lửa lên trên phần thân của cây nến là mình đã hoàn thiện rồi. Mình gắn một chút keo nến vào các cái góc của ngọn nến, sau đó mình đặt nó lên trên phần thân của cây nến, đặt nó thẳng đứng nằm cân đối ở trên cây nến như thế này. Vậy là mình đã làm xong một cây nến từ giấy thủ công. Cảm ơn các bạn đã theo dõi video của mình. Hãy cùng đón chờ những sản